Yeah, it's on the wings, there's some on the fuselage, and we actually caught some on the
temperature minus 4 Celsius. 2 point.
I'm not sure that today has a happy ending for us, George. Alright, here's our before takeoff briefing. We're going to take off runway 20 to the south. There's a highway in front of us in case we need it. If we get to 3,000 feet and we're not out of ground effect yet, we call it, land, that's plenty of time to stop even on a frozen runway.
Affirmative.
Alright, here we go. Full power, heels to the floor. Airspeed's alive, temperatures and pressures are in the green. 2,000 to go. There's 70 knots. Rotate.
There it goes. Alrighty. Yep. This is what I'm going to do, one of those rare things and actually talk to the cameras. Because George and I just got back to the plane and found it completely coated in ice. Which, come to think of it, we really should have seen coming.
Beautiful day.
Interesting little mist hanging out over there.
Yeah, I see it. That's near Northampton.
Yeah.
But since we didn't have the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, we weren't expecting it to sweep up north and cover the airplane in ice. A rough ice that would make airflow turbulent over the surface of the wing. Beyond using your common sense, as you might imagine, the FAA has a thing or two to say about ice on airframe surfaces. Since about the 1960s, the FARs have said that if frost has been polished to make it smooth, then it's acceptable to take off with that frost. But then the FAA issued a safety alert for operations more recently that says completely remove all contaminants from the wing and flight control surfaces before your flight. And what does the FAA recommend we do when their rules leave us wondering? Get in touch with a local flight instructor, of course. So we gave CFII Bill Allen at the Aeroventure Institute a call, and he said, scrape that ice. But despite our best efforts, that ice was there to stay. Being about a 2.5-hour drive away from home, it was very tempting just to take off with a light airplane and not much fuel. But luckily, we had one more option left. Ethylene glycol, or de-icing fluid, as you may know it. So we gave the local FBO a call and taxied on over.
Keen Traffic Warrior 8027 Foxtrot's crossing runway 20, Romeo for the west ramp. Keen.
Yeah, just careful with the line here as I think it jogs to the right.
Yeah, I think I see the sign for Romeo up there.
Maybe they'll mistake us for the business jet they're waiting for and give us a glycol treatment.
Famous last words, George. So while we're busy getting the VIP treatment, let's talk about some nomenclature you might hear when talking about airframe ice. There are two different ways to deal with airframe ice, de-icing and anti-icing. You may have heard them used interchangeably, but one is preventative and one is reactive. De-icing techniques include pneumatic boots on wingtips and spraying aircraft before they ever leave the ground, while anti-icing techniques include heated surfaces and TKS systems, which use porous panels to seep de-icing fluid over the surface. As soon as the de-icing procedure is over, though, it's time for us to plan our departure and get out of there. You only have about 20 to 30 minutes of effective de-icing time before you need to reapply the solution. This may sound trivial, but in January of 1982, Air Florida Flight 90 took off from Washington, D.C. Airport after waiting 47 minutes without reapplying de-icing fluid. Only a few seconds after takeoff, the jet was unable to produce enough lift to stay in flight. The Boeing 737-200 crashed into the Potomac River, killing 78 people. Most people remember the incident because of how well the aftermath was documented, but pilots remember the incident for a different reason.
Point minus 1 Celsius. Altimeter 302.
Alright, here's our before takeoff briefing. We're going to take off runway 20 to the south. There's a highway in front of us in case we need it. I'm going to go full power and try to climb at least 500 feet per minute while we're out of ground effect up to 1,000 feet. We're going to jog to the right at the end of the runway, and if we abort, we're going to abort to the left to avoid the terrain to the right. Otherwise, you're going to call off 1,000-foot increments and the runway and taxiway intersection. If we get to 3,000 feet and we're not out of ground effect yet, we call it, land. That's plenty of time to stop, even on a frozen runway. Sound good?
Affirmative.
All right, here we go. Gain traffic, Warrior 8027 Foxtrot is taking off runway 20. We'll be departing to the south, Keen. Fuel pump, landing light, rotating beacon, strobe lights are all on, navigation lights are on. We have full mixture master mags, carb heat's off. All right, here we go. Full power, heels to the floor. Airspeed's alive, temperatures and pressures are in the green. 40 knots. A little bit more right rudder. 60 knots.
Runway intersection.
There's 70 knots. Rotate.
And taxiway Charlie. And we have a positive rate. 3,000 to go. 2,000 to go.
700 feet per minute.
500.
Looks like we're good. 500 above. 600 clear abort. All right, I think we're good. Thanks so much.
Nope. One more story I get to tell the students.
Yup. That was intense.